Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we are here for a abbreviated edition of the show as we finally got the first teaser to the Fantastic Four First Steps, which I'm very excited about. But in the meantime, before we get there, patreon.com/MCUniversityPod, where you can get our bonus content, subscriber mailbag, John Wick, which we'll begin to John Wick 3 very soon, and the Discord, $3. Appreciate everybody for supporting on that front. The YouTube channel, check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those wonderful things. Congratulations to Cecilia. She won the free tickets to Captain America Brave New World. That's already been taken care of. So she's ready to go for next week. We'll be ready to go for that movie. Looking forward to that. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be talking about this trailer. It's very exciting.
Yes, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me initially, and I'll throw it to you afterwards, is I am a big fan of the presentation of this. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the fact that they went to the lengths of we're gonna do an hour-long preamble, kind of showing the launch and everything that
Mm-hmm.
was going on, the official launch and whatnot, and presenting this as a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
as titled Marvel's First Family, I think was a very excellent idea. And then the teaser itself, I felt I felt pretty positive about it just based off of the fact that it seems to me at least that they have a lot of confidence in this movie. What about you?
Yeah, I think that your point about it being a big deal is important because the double-edged sword of the MCU is that when everything feels equally important, that's how a movie like Captain Marvel makes $1 billion, right? But when nothing feels that important, that's how movies like in Quantumania, which are supposed to be really important, don't make a ton of money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that it's all about money, but I think that they had to put an effort to be like, yes, we are releasing 3 movies this year. This is the most important one. And without saying that, because you can't say that, they have
Mhm.
to treat it as such, and they're definitely treating it as such. And they seem to be acutely aware of the fact that Superman's also coming out, that they're, putting in a lot more effort than they usually would. They usually don't do stuff like this. And yeah, I think that the presentation of it was really, it was definitely a teaser and not a trailer, which I don't really mind the distinction because I'm
Yeah,
going
the
to see the
color.
movie no matter what.
Right.
And I think that they really just wanted to get the epic tone, but also the classic '60s you know comics tone that I think that they are. It felt like the tone of the trailer was a play to get people who have been out on the last couple MCU movies back in, right? Like it feels like they very much were leaning into you remember why you like this stuff. You remember what this stuff made you feel.
Yes, this is a different aesthetic. This is a different energy, completely different vibe than what fans are used to as far as that's concerned. And I just think anybody who comic book fan generally sees Fantastic Four, people have been waiting for this the same way akin to how people have been waiting for the X-Men to come back. So, like
Mhm,
from that aspect, being able to get these characters back on screen, finally seeing some of the shots. I mean, I marked out when I saw the thing. That and
mhm.
I by the way, A plus, he looks awesome.
I'll be
Uh
honest with you, my first reaction was, "He looks kinda silly," but I'm like, "Wait, no. He's a rock man. He is silly." I think I think it's a very conscious choice, we're gonna make him look like the comics. We're not gonna fucking go to, Arizona and study rocks. No, we're gonna make him look like a comic book rock guy.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that part was cool. The kind of family, the real family vibes, the quite honestly, I think it was something that you might have said earlier today in terms of it feels like this movie is leaning towards the optimism
Mhm,
of what being a hero can be, the way that it seems like the Fantastic Four are celebrated in their universe, as opposed to a lot of ways the Avengers are looked at kind of like tweeners in a sense. Like some people like them, some people don't. That I think this universal positivity towards the Fantastic Four generally is how they're presented. And I guess it seems like based off of the teaser, we'll see some of the elements that led to them getting their powers, but I don't think it's going to be a full on
yeah.
like we're going back because we don't necessarily need to do that.
I actually think I that's the thing I question because
Hmm.
I think some people are treating it like, "Oh, it's like Spider-Man, we've already seen it so many times," but it's like, I actually don't think that that's the case. I think that they should show a decent amount of it, and I think they will. I don't think it'll be done linearly,
Right.
but if you think about it, for all intents and purposes, no one saw the 2015 Fantastic Four, right? No, I mean, seriously, I didn't even see it. I'm gonna watch it
I
before this one.
I didn't.
And
Yeah.
so, for all intents and purposes, and a lot of people saw the '05 one, like, but when this movie comes out, that's gonna be 20 years old. Like, I actually don't think it's a given that people know their origin story, so I think they will show it because I don't think they're that dumb. It's not. I've seen people who are very into comics being like, "It's like Spider-Man, you don't need to show it again." It's like, no, there's 20 years of people who do need to see it again, and so I think we'll see some of that, especially also because it's like very visually interesting. But
Yeah.
I also like it as a way. I think it'll be interwoven in because it is even in the trailer. The changes of like the video of them going back and forth, like it's a really cool aesthetic choice to like the aspect ratio changing. Everyone knows I love an aspect ratio
Kinda,
change.
yes.
So like
I thought of you
to
when
be
I
able
saw
to
that.
do that,
Mhm.
that just like fits in with I think the theme of the movie. I can imagine it like being interspersed throughout, and maybe like as the climax is happening, we see actually what happened to them. I don't think it's gonna be done linearly, but I do think they're gonna show it.
It was nice to when when Reed talks to Sue in that little brief line thing that they give where he goes, Ben before he was a rock, and Sue goes, he's still my rock, and I was like, oh,
Well, he was. I think believe that is he was always a
he
rock,
was
which
always
is
a rock. Yeah, I thought that was just
yeah.
that's nice and schmaltzy cornball
Yeah, I mean, because
ish.
I think that that's also what helps them being in the '60s because like you're just willing to buy a level of sincerity. Like the world, obviously, the world has never been great, but the world just wasn't as corrupted, and there wasn't the surface level, like unease where it's like, yeah, these are just great heroes. They give a tour of their apartment and they have family dinner. It's you can believe that in the '60s.
At 7 on the dot. I'm looking forward to see how Pedro plays Reed's kind of his kind of like his ticks, like the things
Hmm.
that make him go. That seems to like the dinner 7 at the dot. Like
Hmm.
they're just like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Anything visually that stood out to you?
I thought that the Human Torch stuff looked great. I
Yes.
know people pointed out that when you see him go by the camera, there's like debris onto the camera, which reminds me of a thing. Because people were like, I don't know how much this made it into non-film Twitter, but like the joke about J.J. Abrams that he always would put lens flares, or like they're always you remember that thing that people would say that in his movies it was always
Yeah.
distracting, and I think he did it too much. But the point of that he always said was, and I think is correct, is that if you're in a spaceship and you're looking out of the window and there's like a planet and a sun, if that planet and sun were real, they would flare on the lens. And so we want you to subconsciously think that there's actually a camera in this cockpit, right? He did it too much, but I think that that's a very smart idea of like, yes, obviously the camera is not real. There's no camera in the story. But we know that if there actually was a thing on fire flying by the screen, it would smudge the lens. We've watched enough movies to know that. So it actually, by making a quote unquote mistake, by having the lens get smudged by it, that makes it seem more real. And I think that that's the level of filmmaking that the MCU sometimes lacks, where it's like the little stuff to make it feel real. And I think that when it was pointed out, I'm like, that's really impressive. And like Matt Shackman's no slouch for doing that. That is such a small thing, but it really just, if you look at the shot, it looks so much better than regular CGI bullshit.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I've said this before on the show. I feel very confident in Matt Shackman's
Yeah.
abilities to kind of handle this. Obviously, I'm very impressed with what happened with WandaVision,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems like there is a feel,
Mm-hmm.
and you never know with these things. It may
Mm-hmm.
play out differently, but there is just a certain feel that I have about his handle on this that makes me feel very optimistic about
Yeah.
what we're going to get here. And on top of that, even though I am still team hashtag move the movie,
Mm-hmm.
um, I appreciate the confidence.
Yeah.
Yes,
If they're going to treat if they're going to treat it like this, I'm not as worried because because it felt like if they were going to treat it as the third MCU movie to come out in 2025, then they'd be screwed. But if they're going to be like, this is the Fantastic Four movie, especially because, like, I will say this as a non comic book fan, there is, and I think you would agree with this,
mhm,
the importance of Fantastic Four in movies has never felt the same as the way that people read comics. Like, no, the Fantastic Four are as important as Spider Man and the X-Men. And in
yeah,
movies, like, that just has not
no,
been the case at all. Like, like I said, the 2005 one, Tim Story did a fine job. Famously, was the highest grossing film by a black director until Black Panther. Crazy stat. But like, it was kind of it was silly, you know. Like they
Yeah.
got fucking Young Griffith to play Mr. Fantastic, great Welsh actor, but like you know, I saw some people being like nostalgic for Jessica Alba as Sue Storm, and I'm like,
Yo, I saw a
time,
crazy tweet. I saw a
people.
crazy tweet.
Not everything from your childhood's good. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
mi- Yo, somebody said I missed the milk, and I was like, yo, like
Wait,
relax.
about Jessica, I don't. Okay.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No. It wasn't even no. It's just the fact that you that thirsty. Especially, by the way, I'm glad that I
Yeah.
mentioned this because I realize it's Black History
Uh
Month,
huh.
and I want to apologize in
Mm
advance to
hmm. Mm
any of our
hmm. Mm hmm.
Black listeners. But I just got to say, Vanessa Kirby, with all due respect.
And she's great, and I think that she has a very steely look about her, which is really good.
Hmm.
Like she has a look that you could just tell there's a lot going on in her head, and she has like gigantic eyes. And you know, I always talk about this: people who have movie star faces. She just has a face that belongs on screen. It just looks really like when you see her like doing the shit with her hands, making the force field. She just has an expressive face, so it looks better. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed that. Like the visuals of this, I
can I ask you a
enjoyed.
question though?
Yeah, what's
Because
up?
people are pointing out they don't show Mister Fantastic's powers. Do you think that's because it doesn't look that good?
I think I don't know. I don't know for sure. I can't. The reason why I don't think they show it yet is because I do think it'll probably look different than what people are expecting it to look.
Mm, mm,
And this might be something that you see in a actual full-on trailer,
yeah,
which I'm guessing which will be maybe they'll roll it out with Thunderbolts in May.
yeah.
But that feels to me not necessarily. Yeah, I don't feel like they. Yeah,
My
because I
thought
feel
on
like
it
their
is,
confidence in the movie, if it was
yeah.
different, if they weren't confident in the movie, I feel like this might be something they want to hold in the tuck.
My thought on it is that even if it's done well in a brief snippet, it will look silly, and I don't
Yeah,
think that. I think like that. I think that's actually completely understandable. Like I think it actually it. There's just people like it's impossible to make look good, and it's like no, it's impossible to make look serious. Like it's a silly looking power, like it just is. And
and I think
so
the purpose of this teaser
mhm,
is to, hey, they're back.
yeah,
You want to see Ben,
hmm,
you want to see Johnny,
hmm,
and you kind of want to see Sue. Obviously, more aesthetically pleasing visuals there, and maybe something like Mr. Fantastic you could unveil later in a certain instance that I feel like would work better with an actual full-on trailer.
and I would argue that, and as I understand the comics, Reed Richards is as important of a character for his non-stretching abilities as anything.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that the stuff of him in front of the whiteboard, in front of the chalkboard,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
mul somebody caught this the kind of like the multiverse
hmm,
like
hmm,
engine thing that he
yeah.
got going on.
I said
Uh
that that was you connecting Easter eggs. I hope you appreciated that.
You know,
Um,
I briefly saw. I have to go and I have to go
no,
look because
I just,
I'm running around.
whenever I see someone doing something, I'm like, that's AC with Easter eggs.
And I
Um,
was and thank you. I thank you. I am heartened by the fact that people like that I pursue these things.
of course.
But yes, like the yeah, just something like the multi. Now, good. I think see, this is why I love you. You allow
Mm,
me to get into my nerd bag
of
here
course.
because with that stuff on the board, this is now the reminder that this is set in a different universe,
Hmm.
and we are headed towards Avengers Doomsday. So there's got to be a way for the Fantastic Four to end up
Hmm.
in the prime MCU 616 universe. So that's something that I'm sure will probably occur in this movie at some point, and that'll be something to watch. I like that. That's a lot of fun. I'm glad that at least they gave a little kernel of a nugget to
Hmm.
chew on. So that was cool too. And yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's very difficult. Like I feel like with this and Superman,
Hmm.
the this is a very good time for I feel like superhero movies to kind of
Yeah.
reinvigorate themselves to the public in a way that's
Mhm.
positive. Now, granted, the movie that's coming up next week, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm gonna say the same thing about that, but I feel
Yeah,
like later in the
they're gonna have to
year,
rebuild the goodwill.
yes, I think yeah, more on that another time. But yeah, so like I feel very positive. I feel very actually happy more so than anything. And I think hashtag everything is wrestling.
Hmm.
Well, when you build up, when you do the work into building up somebody showing up, that
Mhm.
and making it more important and making it matter, then I'm telling you, you're gonna get more eyes and you're
Yeah.
gonna get more people more interested, and that makes me happy.
Also, I love seeing Galactus. It looked
Oh
great.
yeah.
You know,
It-
excited for that. I mean, brief shot of John Malkovich, great. Still a lot
I'm
of stuff we
assuming he's
haven't
the mole
seen.
man. Yeah. Assuming he's the mole man, so we'll see what happens with that. I love that we didn't get no shot of the Silver Surfer yet. That
Yep.
should be fun too in the future. And yeah, so Fantastic Four, first steps.
Hmm.
Oh, even I think shout out to Springthorpe who mentioned in the
Yeah.
Discord like just the score too, like
Oh yeah,
a little.
Michael Giacchino. I think I said this during our Batman pod. It's like he's so far in his bag, he's finding like the extra fries that are in the like. He's so good at this. Like he's just the best in the world right now. I think at like this type of score. And yeah, so shouts to him. I'm excited to see what these song. I hope that the main title on the album is called "He a Fan, He a Fan, He a Fantastic Four." That's a joke about the fact that Michael Giacchino names all of his songs on the album's puns. That's a joke for two people. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh
If you look
man,
up any score he's done, even if it's the most serious movie of all time, all of his titles are puns.
that's funny.
Love it,
That's
man.
funny. But yeah, man, I can't. I feel so generous. Like it's taken me a bit, especially after what 2024 was with just one MCU movie.
Mhm.
It's nice that we're gonna get a couple, and it's nice that it seems like we're gonna get a build from
Yeah.
one movie to what seemingly is a really good movie. And I think just like anything else, as I mentioned previously with Superman, competition is fun.
Yep.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yep.
So just to see how those movies do, that's going to be fascinating. Looking forward to seeing what's
Mhm.
next. This will not be our only episode of the week, as we
No.
got your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to do. So we'll be on that
Wait,
very.
there's a question I should cut out, but are we doing that tomorrow? I forget.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
do that tomorrow. Yeah, we're
Okay,
gonna
I
do
might
it.
need to do it a little bit later because I need the time to watch the episodes. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this in on the video version, but I'll cut it on the audio one.
Yeah, that's
Just 'cause
totally
it's annoying to edit video. So, video guys, you saw us plan.
totally fine. Totally fine. And yeah, and with that, so you're very excited to see what happens. With that said, Jake, where can we follow you, my
You can
friend?
follow me on Twitter at the J Christie. Follow me on Blue Sky at J Christie. And I'm doing a charity live stream on the 22nd for 18 hours to raise money for the Trevor Project, which is a charity that helps LGBTQ youth. Obviously, they could use it at this time. I'm doing giveaways and auctions and raffles and stuff in the weeks ahead. I mean, the weeks beforehand. I actually just did a raffle for a signed copy of Mariano's Mellow tweet. So
Hey,
someone won that. I'm
salute to
going to be
Mari.
doing some. I reached out to some people I've had on my Twitter show to see if they'd signed tweets, and a couple of them said yes. So I'm going to be doing that
Nice.
in over the next few weeks. But yeah, please tune in when it happens and donate money if you're able to. Really would like to get a couple thousand in there just because, like I said, obviously they could use it now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I will always support Jake in his endeavors to do good things for good people. That's all. That's all you can ask for in this world where it's very difficult to find good people these days. So, with that being said, you can follow me on Twitter at Anthony Canton _3. Follow me on Blue Sky at Anthony Canton 3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like I said, patreon.com, all those wonderful things. With that being said, for Jay Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.